Hi everyone. Thank you for joining in talk session with 1is2x. Hi Neha. Thanks for being here today.
Hi,
I
happy to
believe
be
it's
here.
really early for you today.
Yeah, it's 7:30 here, but always happy to speak to you. So,
So nice. So nice to have you today. So, guys, in today's session, we have Neha Sadruddin. She's a BIM specialist and a design technology enthusiast currently working at Biak Ingalls Group. She's specialized in BIM, that is building information modeling, and her work majorly involves to strategize, develop, implement design technology workflows as well as streamline processes for large-scale projects at BIM. So let's learn from her professional journey on how she became a BIM specialist at BIG. And without any further delay, guys, we'll just start with today's session. Feel free to ask all your questions in the chat box and we will take them up in the end. So, Neha, I'll start with my first question.
sure.
We want to understand how you decided to get into building a career in BIM, which is building information modeling, and what does BIM actually mean?
Right. So, I'll answer the second question first. BIM stands for Building Information Modeling, and what that means is that it is a process of delivering the design and construction of a building, where the data from all the different disciplines, so your structural engineer, the construction and the civil engineer, and the contractor, and the architect, gets integrated onto one platform, and that can be managed and coordinated throughout the construction and even the life cycle of the building. And this involves the use of smart, softwares that can hold this data about every building element. And some examples are Revit, Navisworks. Coming back to your question about how I got into it, I was properly introduced to it at my first job out of college. This was at an interior design firm, where I was my role there was of a designer. But they at the time were in this transition from CAD to BIM, and so I got put on a project that was in Revit, and we were delivering construction documents. And so I took it up as a challenge to learn not only the software, but also understand just the construction processes and the project delivery workflow after the initial design concept is defined. And I, after that, worked directly with the BIM manager, who was also my mentor, to build sort of the standards and the content for the office. And then later I kind of was like, okay, I think I really enjoy this. There's a high demand in the industry for BIM, for this expertise. And so I wanted to move back into architecture from interiors. And that's how I'm here at BIG.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Glad that you mentioned that because usually, like everybody believes that architecture is a slow process. It's a slow profession, and the growth is not fairly as fast as all other professions. So it's just been
Mhm.
5 years since you've graduated, and now you're already like a specialist in big. So what exactly is like the career choices that you made after graduation that helped you to get here?
So I would say that one of the things that I realized, this was through my internship. So my first internship was out of my third year in architecture school. So that was like my first time in the real, world of architecture. And I realized then that there is this gap between the education and practice of architecture, where I was not getting the exposure to learning about the construction processes and project delivery workflow in school. And so I continued to intern part-time for the next 2 years until I graduated. And that exposure to sort of the documentation side of things was, helped me build this skill set, this technical skill set, which I could then showcase through professional work samples, like when I was applying for my first job. So I think that helped me stand out because I had like an additional portfolio alongside my design stuff from school. But when you say that, oh, but you're already a BIM specialist, I'm still learning, I'm still growing. There is plenty of, in my opinion, like there's plenty of growth, happening, and there's a lot of opportunity to learn new things. So I feel like I'm never bored. There's always something new.
That's true. That's actually the only way to look at most things in life, to always know that there's
Yeah.
more to do with it.
Yeah.
It's always a process of ever growing. But like the interesting bit that you just mentioned is that developing a portfolio which is more technical versus the fancy portfolios that we are generally used to. We are used to a very design heavy, concept heavy architectural portfolio.
Right.
So building a technically heavy portfolio to get into BIM is almost against the what we are taught in architectural schools. Do you want to like talk more about that?
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think that for me, like at least in my experience, in school, like we did not, the focus was mostly on design, and the concept of your projects, and the final sort of renders of the project. And for me, that after interning, I realized that that was not something that I wanted to do long term, and that I was more interested in the construction and sort of documentation side of architecture. And so, like, I think the internship experiences, gave me the opportunity to build those technical skills, and work with people who are going on site and, talking to the client, and then coming back, like talking to all these different consultants as well. So coordinating and communicating, like all those sort of different skills were, I just was able to pick up. And then all the projects that I was involved in, I was able to showcase as work samples, professional work samples, when I started to apply. So I think I wouldn't say that it's, that design, your design portfolio is not important. I think for me, like having that professional work sample it just gave me an edge over people who didn't, because it showcased a different sort of skill set. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually extremely interesting, because usually I think that's the confusion for anybody who's freshly graduating out of an architectural school, and whether they think that BIM is the right career path for them, because usually people are split into multiple choices. And that's why I think it's good to know what is the kind of skill set do you think an architectural student needs to have to consider BIM as a career choice?
So I would say for me, it was sort of, I was less, excuse me, I was less keen on the concept design side of architecture, and I wanted to do more. I wanted to learn how things come together in the real world, how sort of how things get built, what the different details are, and every project will have these construction details that are unique to that project. So for me, that was more important, or also something that I enjoyed more than just designing the concept. So I think that would be something that I would say, yes, it made me, that helped me build my BIM skills, or just that interest. But I don't think that BIM is, you know, there's one fixed career path for BIM. You can be a project architect and, you know, deliver a project in BIM. It's I see it as like a project delivery process that is just more efficient than the traditional methods of, you know, drafting or CAD. It's that process has just evolved into a more integrated project delivery, and it just allows all these parties to come together and talk to one another through one platform and coordinate their design, as opposed to it being a more sort of linear process. And yeah, so the software is just enable you to do your job better. It's not, BIM is not the job itself, it's the process.
And I just think I have a question, which is, I think, probably something that everybody wants to know when they get into any new. I understand it's not a it's not a linear project, and it's for people, it's a process that they need to get into. But once people pick up BIM as a career choice, what all are the opportunities that probably you have after from now on as you're like specializing in BIM? And generally, what is the future of BIM as a whole and for all the people who are now associated with it?
So I would say for me, I've been lucky to sort of be able to carve my own path at BIG. And, you know, right now I'm sort of learning how to code because we want to develop our own sort of in-house tools that will help the design teams sort of deliver certain tasks better. And as for like just opportunities and room for growth, I think the industry in general is sort of moving towards digitization. So BIM and automation and just the digitization of construction processes is the future of the AC industry. So those skills are, you know, going to continue to be valuable for the next however many years. So you can, you know, if you decide to go into BIM, that doesn't, that it's not a sort of, doesn't restrict you from exploring your options. There are a lot of different sort of design technology related roles, like computational design, or even, you know, you can go on to be a BIM manager, or you can stay as a project architect. You know, so that, I think it just opens certain doors of doors to sort of being on, you know, good projects and being able to manage big projects. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, fairly. But you, considering that there are so many things that one can do with BIM now, when you did your course in BIM and like from where you are now, what do you think? Is there something that is missing in the education system today that can be worked with?
Yeah, I think the education system is very heavily focused on design, and less on sort of the delivery of it, or the sort of the realistic aspect of it. You don't sort of get exposed to all the other disciplines that are involved in construction. And that was one reason why I sort of continued to intern, because I wanted to get that exposure, and I wanted to understand like who all is involved in the decision making of a construction project. Yeah.
And now that you're making this entire course on the BIM professional course with 1:x, I just wanted to know, what is it that you are curating in it? How are you adding all these things that you've learned in your profession and from whatever was missing in the education system?
Yeah, so I got trained under, you know, my BIM manager at my first job. And that helped me develop a good understanding of of the, about the field. And now I feel like it's time to sort of share that knowledge, and Oneistox is the best platform for it. It's a 6-month long program, which is sort of, that'll help us sort of dive deep into the different softwares and sort of give young professionals an opportunity to build the skills that they weren't able to in school, and sort of bridge this gap between education and the real practice of architecture. Yeah.
That sounds
yeah,
great.
it's
I'm sorry, I said
I'm
something
excited.
No, that sounds extremely interesting, because that's the kind of stuff people are looking forward to build the gap between what are they being taught about and what is actually happening in the industry. That's definitely a large gap to be built. Neha, I have some questions for you. Just let me pull them out. So someone wants to know that what all are the topics that one needs to know before they need to learn about BIM.
The topics that they need to know.
So what are the topics, advanced topics in BIM that one should know before graduating?
I would say, like, you can start with just sort of understanding like parametric modeling, or even just start off with one of the softwares. I think for me, like, what helped was being thrown into a project where I could actually use the softwares and actually understand how they're helpful and better than a 2D software. So I think the practical application of these softwares is probably the best way to sort of understand the use of it and how it's more effective.
Great. And I have another question, just to know what it is to be with and without BIM. Like, if you're an architect who knows BIM versus an architect who doesn't know BIM.
I think so. The demand of just this sort of expertise or knowledge is very high right now, and even clients sort of want architects and want all these consultants to work in them and to work together. So I think that somebody with that skill will definitely have an edge over somebody who doesn't. And so I think just seeing, like, from how we hire at Big as well, like, that is one of the skills we look for. So it will definitely help you stand out.
That's for sure. And there's another question. Is learning Revit and working on BIM the same? And how are they different if they are?
No, Revit is one software that sort of is part of BIM, or like holds the data that BIM sort of stands for. But there are other softwares. BIM, the way I see it, is a project delivery sort of approach that allows all the different disciplines to integrate their data onto one platform, and that helps you communicate with other parties. So it's not, BIM doesn't equal Revit. Revit is just a subset of BIM, and yes, the knowledge of Revit is sort of important, and one of the sort of key sort of softwares that are used when delivering a project in BIM. But there are other softwares like Navisworks and Dynamo, and yeah.
So basically, BIM does not equal to Revit, and Revit, would you say, is like a stepping stone into the field of BIM?
Yeah, I definitely used it as that. I, my first sort of hand at BIM was by getting into Revit and building a family, and learning about parameters and how they can be managed. So yeah, I mean, it's a good way to get into it for sure.
Cool, that I understand. Thank you for that, Neha. A few other questions. One is that what all one needs to include in their portfolio to get into a BIM firm? Is there something specific that one needs to have in their portfolio? Apart from, of course, like a BIM professional degree by Oneistox.
um, I think that if you've sort of if you've used, some of the softwares in school and you can showcase that work in your portfolio, that would be sort of a good way to have that on your portfolio. And I think that's one of the only ways during school, because the other way is to actually have work samples that are using BIM and that can speak to your ability and skill. So those are the two. If you're interning, ask for an opportunity in learning those softwares, and challenge yourself. That's what I did. I was like, I want to be put on a big project that is, in the later stages of the project. Can you probably, help me put me on a project like that? And they agreed. They like people who are motivated, I think. So
Yeah.
put yourself out there and challenge yourself.
Guys, those are the golden words, I'd say. Neha, just one last question. Thank you for answering all of these questions patiently with us. Is
Yeah.
that there are many online institutions offering BIM course, so one should opt for that or go for like a proper master's degree.
That's a tough question. I don't know which one is better. I can't sort of comment on that because I haven't done a master's in BIM, so I don't know sort of what all it entails and what sort of skills you come out with. So I would say look into sort of the course, sort of the curriculum, and see, if it's checking the boxes that you have set up for yourself. So if it's getting you the skills that are helpful and you think can help you move into the next role, then sure, yeah. I don't know of a lot of masters in BIM, so I can't sort of speak to any one program or anything.
No, I understand. I understand
But
the aspect of like, are you saying that it's like doing a master's or doing a course, irrespective, one has to learn so much on the job because it looks like a very vast subject.
Yeah, I mean, I think either way, even if we have a course like the one at Oneistox, that one, like, because we're doing a deep dive into these softwares, I think we are sort of our goal is to give you a sort of well-rounded understanding of BIM and not just one software. So I personally have not ever considered going to a master's. For me, it's more, I always learn better with a hands-on and practical approach. So yeah, wherever you sort of are able to find that, I would go for that.
I think that answers the question very well, Neha. Another one, it just says that BIM opens up gates for jobs like coordination, VR, AR, 4D planning, production tracking, etc. So, which one out of these do you think is considered the best? And, or if any other field that a person should look out for?
I don't know about best. I think it depends on, what sort of attracts you and what I think everybody has like a certain strength. And I like to just go according to that. And I think there's a demand for all, like a growing demand for all the things that he listed. So I think however you want to navigate your path, I think there's plenty of growth available there. So just see how you can, grow and challenge yourself. And I think you'll be fine.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Neha. But before we let you go, I want some one word for the following statements from you. Are you ready?
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
let's do it.
So BIM is not dash.
We already answered that. It's not Revit.
And BIM is?
It's not just Revit, guys. BIM is an integrated project delivery approach. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's do
So
it.
my next one is my favorite. What is your superpower as an architect?
Oh God, can I just say BIM?
Of course
My
you can.
superpower, I think, I think, well, yes, my technical skill set for sure, but also, being able to work with different parties and understanding what everybody needs before you start a project, and that helps you sort of strategize a little bit before you get into the mess.
Sure. So the next one is, what is this one thing that the learners will take back from BIM at 1:X that probably you missed during your academic years?
I would say at 1:X, we are one of our goals is to help younger professionals, give them the skills and give them the guidance that will help them grow, and be there for them as a mentor, and help them sort of progress their careers.
Thank you for that, Neha. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving in all the answers for all the questions that we had, plus the more that poured in post the interview. So thank you so much for all the time that you invested. We are looking forward
thank you
to
for
having.
having me.
Thank you, and we're looking forward to this course now.
Yeah, we're very excited, and we're working with mentors from across the globe. So it's not just catered to one audience. It's so great learning about all these different perspectives and how sort of architecture works in different parts of the world. So it's quite an experience, and
Yes.
I'm excited to be on board.
Thank you so much, and have a great week, Neha.
You too. Thanks, Anam.